Welcome to Daily Maintenance. Today is, Wednesday the 21st of May 2014. Coming to you today from the Central Valley of California, once known as the breadbasket of the world. I'm not so sure if that's still true or not, but that's what it once was known as, or so I understand. Today, our featured verse will be out of the book of Job, Job chapter 19, verse 25, and it reads, "As for me, I know that my Redeemer lives, and at the last he will take his stand on the earth." That's one of those kind of verses, it seems to me, like it's easy for me just to look at it and go, okay, yeah, that's all good, all true, and then kind of not give it enough thought, if you know what I'm saying, not really think about just what Job means by that. And so as I was thinking about this and considering what the Lord had had me to share and talk about as to how it affects me or how I think about it, and potentially to, encourage others to think about this little verse too. I looked at the Life Application Study Bible, and it gave a little bit of something interesting, I thought, and I'll go through that with you. It says, "At the heart of the book of Job comes the ringing affirmation of confidence. I know that my Redeemer lives. In ancient Israel, a redeemer was a family member who bought a slave's way to freedom or who took care of a widow." And then it says to refer to a note on Ruth 3:1, which we'll do in a minute. What tremendous faith Job had, especially in light of the fact that he was unaware of the conference between God and Satan. If you think about the book of Job, if you studied it, you realize that he didn't know um, that particular aspect of things. And Job had thought that God had brought all these disasters upon him. Faced with death and decay, Job still expected to see God, and he expected to do so in his body. When the book of Job was written, Israel did not have a well-developed doctrine of resurrection. Although Job struggled with the idea that God was presently against him, he firmly believed in the end God would be on his side. This belief was so strong that Job became one of the first to talk about the resurrection of the body. And as I read this, I think about Job. It's probably one of those books that we neglect and go, yeah, I've had my Job days too, and things happened, and had some really lousy days before. But I think it's, at least I know for me, I don't give it enough thought to really look at what it means behind what is so obvious. Let's go to Ruth 3:1. We can talk a little bit about the culture and the customs of the day and kind of compare it to today. Ruth 3:1 reads, "Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, 'My daughter, shall I not seek security for you, that it may be well with you?'" Well, let's read what the Life Application Study Bible says about that. That's where it gets interesting. It really adds a lot of thought to our verse in Job. As widows, Ruth and Naomi could only look forward to difficult times. Then it says, see note on, okay, anyway. But when Naomi heard the news about Boaz, her hope for the future was renewed. Typical of her character, she thought first of Ruth, encouraging her to see if Boaz would take responsibility of being the family redeemer. And the family redeemer was kind of the system of the day. Today we have the welfare, but that's another story. It goes on. A family redeemer was a relative who volunteered to take responsibility for the extended family. When a woman's husband died, the law, out of Deuteronomy, provided that she could marry a brother of her dead husband. But Naomi had no more sons. In such a case, the nearest relative to the deceased husband could become a family redeemer and marry the widow. The nearest relative did not have to marry the widow. If he chose not to, the next nearest relative could take his place. If no one chose to help the widow, then she probably would live in poverty the rest of her life, because in Israelite culture, the inheritance was passed on to the son or nearest male relative, not to the wife. To take the sting out of these inheritance rules, there were laws for gleaning and family redeemers. We have a family redeemer in Jesus Christ, who, though he was God, came to earth as a man in order to save us. But by his death on the cross, he was redeemed us from sin and hopelessness, and thereby purchased us to be his own possession. This guarantees our eternal inheritance. Forgive me, I'm bouncing around in the sleeper portion of a big truck, um, and it's a lot of vibration back here. I've got some tires on my truck starting to show some signs of truck being out of alignment, which is causing a lot of vibration, and anyway, that's what's causing the shakiness here. Going back to Job, and I lost my place here. Doesn't really matter, we're still okay. That puts a little light on what we were talking about, I suppose. Um, Actually, let me find it here. You can tell this is not a professional production by any means, is it? And I am having trouble finding it. No matter that being the case, let's just consider what Job has to say, and that he knows his Redeemer lives. So awesome. Today on our website, www.takethesechains.org, we're featuring a second video, not by me, but by a pastor named Paul Washer. And I encourage you to take the time to consider the message, a very important message given to us by Mr. Washer. There's a player, an embedded YouTube player right in the website. You can click on that. And I'll probably be featuring some more videos from him. I've read some of his books, and they're just outstanding. He is so right on with what is really going on today. And I think as you get to know his writing style and what his message is, that you'll really hopefully appreciate it as I do. Well, that's it for today, for Wednesday. Thank you for joining us today. God bless you.